This morning at about 11 a.m., the Special Services Unit of the Smith County Sheriff's Office arrested Smith County Sheriff's Detention Officer Keenon Olison. That's K-E-E-N-O-N, last name Olison, O-L-I-S-O-N, at the low to medium risk jail facility here in Smith County. This investigation began probably about 6 weeks ago, where the Special Services Unit of the Sheriff's Office received information that a detention officer was delivering contraband as well as controlled substances to the inmates in that facility. At that time, we began communicating with the Smith County District Attorney's Office, our Special Services Unit, Narcotics Unit, also Texas Rangers, and we also utilize personnel from the Drug Enforcement Administration. We've been conducting some undercover operations, and it culminated this morning at 11 a.m. with the arrest of the former detention officer, Olison. When I became sheriff of Smith County, there's several promises I made at that time. One of the promises was that we're going to be held, I'm going to hold not only the law enforcement officers, but detention officers of the Smith County Sheriff's Office to a higher standard than the general public. And this is just a continuation of that. We won't tolerate, we will not, things like this didn't just start happening on January 1st of 2013. What I will tell you is, I'm not going to speak about what has happened in the past, but I'm telling you from January 1st, 2013, we will not move a problem, we will not transfer a problem, we will not just simply terminate somebody's employment that has done something unlawful. We will conduct a criminal investigation, and once we perfect a criminal investigation, we will ask the District Attorney's Office, the United States Attorney's Office, or whichever one is applicable, to prosecute that individual whatever the statutes allow. And that's what we will continue to do. We're not going to have somebody else clean up our problems. We're going to clean our problems up. We're not going to sweep it under the rug. We're going to take care of situations like this. But after having said that, I still want to reiterate, we've got 375 employees now, I believe. About 99.9% of them are not like what we're talking about here today. We've got some great employees, continue to do a great job for us, and this is kind of the third black eye that they've gotten since January 1st, 2013. I believe I was in office for 2 or 3 days. We arrested another detention officer. And then, as y'all know, most recently, the arrest of a patrol deputy, Kimbrick. So he is now serving, I think, 6 years in the Federal Corrections Institute, but that's pretty much it. I'm going to open it up to questions at this time. And John will provide you a handout there.
Anybody want to take a second?
And yeah, y'all can.
Sheriff, how long again did you say this has been going on, this investigation?
This investigation started probably somewhere around 6 weeks ago.
And Sheriff, what kind of contraband was he accused of?
The contraband has been anything from tobacco to controlled substances such as marijuana. The one that he was taken into custody for this morning was marijuana, which he possessed inside of the facility.
Do you know about how many inmates he's accused of providing this to?
We know of at least 3 or so. Also on that same subject, we do have information that he has done this for compensation. And I'm not going to go very deep in the investigation, but we have substantiated that as well.
Do you know how long he's been doing this for?
Don't really know. We're not sure how long he's been doing it.
And what kind of punishment is he looking at?
It's a third-degree felony. A state crime would be a third-degree felony for taking it inside a detention facility like that. So he's looking at that, but he's looking at 3 counts of that because you have the drugs he was taking in, the contraband he's taking in, and we don't have any information at this time whether or not he would be working with somebody else, but if he would, that would also enhance it, engaging in organized crime or whatever. We don't have anything to substantiate anything like that. We believe at this time he acted alone as far as being the only detention officer that's in this part of the investigation that we're conducting.
How'd you catch him?
Again, when we got the information that there was detention officers, or a detention officer bringing contraband and potentially drugs into the jail facility, we began to develop a plan. We began talking to the district attorney's office, and our narcotics unit pretty much took the lead in the investigation. And we used undercover narcotics officer who has made at least one meeting with the former detention officer. And again, I won't go into detail about what we found out, but obviously we do have an undercover officer that has direct knowledge of his possession of the marijuana, and the marijuana was recovered from the detention officer inside the facility this morning.
Tell me how long the investigation took before you were able to finally...
The investigation has taken about 6 weeks, somewhere in the neighborhood of 6 weeks that we've been working on it, and it's taken that long before we could substantiate what we thought would be a very good criminal investigation that would culminate in the charges and be able to provide the proof we need in the court to get a conviction.
What's happening to the prisoners he supplied the contraband to?
Most of the ones, the contraband on most of the inmates, when we first got the information, obviously was gone. But the inmates, we have had inmates that are no longer in this facility that were cooperating with us. So they will not be charged.
Do we find anything during the search today of any inmates?
That's another thing I forgot to mention. After we took former detention officer Olison into custody, we utilized probably 30 to 35 employees to do what we refer to as a shakedown of the entire facility, the male tanks at the low to medium risk facility. There was some contraband found. I don't believe there's any tobacco products or controlled substances. There was like a tattoo gun and some things like that, which is they have all the time in there to sit and think about things to do, so you have to do those shakedowns pretty often to make sure there's not contraband in there, but there was nothing of significance found in there today.
When you said contraband, or is it, we were just talking about the marijuana, or are we talking about other kinds of
Contraband would be
cell phones, or?
anything that's prohibited from going inside a detention facility was referred to as contraband. We have contraband such as tobacco products, chewing or smoking type tobacco. That would be contraband because it's not allowed inside that institution. But we're also talking about at least marijuana at this time, and we may have some information on potentially other drugs as well. But I'm not at the liberty to release anything like that now because we haven't.
Do we have any idea if he was selling narcotics outside the jail?
I don't have any information to that effect that he's selling any narcotics outside
Are you
the
looking
jail.
at where he was getting the narcotics to take into the jail?
Yes, we're exploring every avenue we can and going down every rabbit trail we can to try to find out where he was receiving the narcotics from, where he's receiving compensation from for doing this from family members. He's been reportedly receiving compensation for what he's doing, and we're tying up all those loose ends. And at this time right now, he was interviewed, brought here to this building, the Sheriff's Office Administration building, after he's arrested, interviewed, and at this time I believe District Judge Christy Kennedy is signing a warrant for him, and he'll be transported to an undisclosed location for incarceration. And so also we should know, and John can get it to y'all in a little bit, we should know what his bond's going to be set at as well. So,
What does this mean for the future? Is there going to be stricter checks for these low risk facility?
We check periodically. And we don't do it on a time schedule. We do it when they least expect it. We do those shakedowns all the time. We've never done one of this magnitude where we go in with as many personnel as we did to do all of them at one time. Because what happens when you do that, especially if it's contraband such as tobacco or drugs, you have to get them before they get to the toilets and flush it and everything. So we were able to do that today. We don't have any reason to believe that anything was discarded before we got there. But there's really no protocol that we're doing now that's going to prevent it from happening. We just have to maybe do a better job of monitoring. There's so many, especially, let me back up. Since the video visitation has moved out to low risk, low to medium risk, and we have trustees that work out, in the different areas of the community. Well, those trustees and the inmates have communicate with the trustees and obviously communicate with some detention officers that choose to break the law. It's very difficult to find out how it's getting in, but we know that many times a family member of an inmate will drop it off at a specific location out there, and in this instance, this has happened, and the jailer or detention officer will go pick it up and deliver it where it needs to go. That's also true of a trustee, though, that is out, that will pick it up and do the same thing. And we will probably be more strict and tighten down upon the trustees, the outside trustees we have working, but we still, they don't run just loose now. I mean, we keep a pretty close eye on them, but they may have to come to, if we have people working outside, to do more complete strip searches when they come back in where they're not hiding contraband.
Larry, this guy's been with the department less than 2 years, May of
Yes.
2012.
Right.
Any thoughts on the screening process, the hiring process?
Roger, I don't know anything we can do that we're not already doing. Now, we changed January 1st of 2013, it changed. We go through we have an oral interview board process they go through. They go through a polygraph to find out anything that they've done in the past. We have processed, I believe, right now probably I know it's well over 1,100 applications for detention and the law enforcement side of the house since January 1st of 2013. We've hired less than 100 of those. And I don't know what else we could do in that aspect that we're not already doing. It's just, sometimes you get personnel that choose not to follow, the laws and the rules. And I've been to jail school, before. They just drill into them, anything. They know what contraband is. They know what they're supposed to do and what they're not supposed to do. But there's not a lot we could do. If there was something we could do to prevent that from happening, there wouldn't be a need for law enforcement because everybody would do what they're supposed to do. But that's not the case. And what I just want to reiterate is we're not going to tolerate it. We're not going to sweep it under the rug. We're not just going to terminate them. We're not going to just transfer them. When we find a problem, we're going to do just as we did this time. We're going to conduct a investigation, however long it takes to find out what they're doing, where they'll never work in law enforcement again.
Do you know if he had any history in any other departments?
I believe this is the only department he's worked for. I don't remember what his age is, but he's a young man, and I think Smith County Sheriff's Office Detention is the only department he's worked at.
And did he only work at the low risk facility, or has he worked at
He's worked
main jail?
He's worked at the Central Jail as well. He's worked at both, which is not uncommon. I believe we've got 218 detention officers total. Out of that 375 employees, 218 of them are detention. And then we have somewhere in our neighborhood right now of 700 inmates between the two facilities. So there's a lot of movement goes on and a lot, and we're operating, the jail commission sets the number of personnel we're required to have, but I can tell you it doesn't hurt to have more personnel, and we're at the minimum required right now. We're going to be asking for, we already have asked for, because of the new facility going online the end of August, we hope, of this year. And we're fully staffed, we're about 50 detention officers short right now, what we're allotted to hire. So, and we won't fill it up immediately, but what I'm trying to get across is we can't hire a detention officer one day and put them on the floor the next. There's a learning curve there. There's some training that's required before we can turn them loose, because I can tell you the county stands to lose more in the form of a lawsuit by something that we do not do right in the county jail than we do anything else that we're doing as far as Smith County employees are doing anywhere in the county. That's where we're most vulnerable at, and we need to make sure that we take care of that.